Do you wish you could finally find your husband? Isn't it frustrating to waste so much of your life on men who you know you're going absolutely nowhere with? Well, what if I told you you could stop wasting your time and start finding your husband if you had the right strategy? Now, if you want to learn what that strategy is, then join me on today's show where we'll be discussing how to find a good husband. That way you don't waste even a second more of your time on another failed relationship. Our first point is about looking inward. Now, I know this is not what you want to hear when I start talking about finding a good husband, but we have to come to this reality and understanding as it relates to relationships. See, right, see a man that you think has all the qualities that you're looking for, and we're going to describe criteria and qualities in a little bit. And you say to yourself, oh boy, I sees ya and I won't see ya. I'm going to put hard eyes here, like the kids do. I sees ya and I won't see ya. I want to be with you. I want to have you in my life. You need to be my man. You got everything I need, right? And that's great. And that's awesome that you can see a man and identify that he is what you need. But the reason I say the very first point is to look inward is because you also have to ask yourself a very important question. If the man that I was looking for actually found me, actually met me, and actually got to know me, would he say, I want her? And this might seem like, well, what do you mean, Tomisin? Of course he would want me. I'm me. I'm like, there's no one else like me on this earth. I'm the only one with my fingerprint. I'm amazing. Why wouldn't he want me? Let's dig a little bit deeper here because I want you to really think about this. What you're probably going to be asking for is a man who's attractive, right? A man who's probably got money. You're going to have some physical traits like you want him to be tall. There's a lot of qualities that you're probably going to ask for when you're thinking about the man that you want to be your husband. Now, I want you to understand something. The things you want in a man actually make him a very attractive man. I'm not just talking about his looks. I'm also talking about make him attractive in general as an ideal partner to other women. So a lot of the qualities that you'll find that you find desirable in a man, in a husband, are qualities that other women are going to see or stumble across and find desirable in a husband, which means by association, you want a very desirable man. Now, why am I pointing out the fact that you want a desirable man? Because it's very important to understand the, I guess we can say, desirability hierarchy in the life that we live as human beings. Meaning, if you want someone who is very desirable, subsequently that means that that desirable man has a lot of options. Let's just be real. If you are a desirable woman, you have a lot of options as well. But what we want to understand is if you're looking for a very desirable man with a lot of desirable options, then you have to be self-aware enough to ask yourself, am I also a desirable woman? Now, I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings, but this requires some self-awareness and some honesty. Because if you are not in the place in your life, and I'm not just talking about your looks, it's not just about having a dump truck, it's not just about having nice yitties or a nice face. I'm talking about your intangibles. I'm talking about your character as well. I'm talking about what in your femininity do you bring to the relationship as well? Because we have to be honest with each other. If you're looking for a good husband and I want you to find a good husband, we also have to make sure that you can be a good wife and you're capable of that, not just in your looks, but in your spirit, in your soul, in your everything. Right? Because we want to ensure that the man that you want actually wants you too. And if he's a desirable man, then he's also looking for a desirable partner. So the reality of it is the first way to align yourself with the desirable husband, with the type of man you want, with the type of relationship you want, is to also ask yourself, am I what someone who is desirable would actually even want in their life? Or do I bring a lot of toxicity? Do I bring a lot of emotional immaturity? Do I bring a lot of time wasting and confusion? Do I bring a lot of baggage? All of these questions you have to be self-aware enough to ask yourself and answer honestly in order to properly even be ready or prepared to meet the guy. Because the reality of it is sometimes you might think so hard to yourself about what it would be like to finally meet the guy that you don't stop to think to yourself, okay, so when I meet him, what happens next? Right? And that has to be a very important thought in your mind. When I actually do meet this guy, would I actually be ready? Not from the standpoint of just being ready to receive from him and get a bunch of things and have him spend money on me and take me out, but also, am I ready in the sense that I'm also able to be a very good partner to him as well? Because it's not just a one-sided relationship. If he's going to be giving a lot and bringing a lot, which I expect, I'm sure he also expects me to be doing that, or else he wouldn't choose me as a partner. So sometimes you can end up disappointed because when you do find a good man, if you haven't been investing in yourself and preparing yourself to be the most desirable version of yourself, you might actually meet that perfect man and not be in your place of being a desirable woman and lose out on the opportunity of actually being in a relationship with that guy because you haven't yet looked inward. Our point number 2 is about criteria. Now, very important. When you're thinking about, I want a good husband, those of you who are probably familiar with spirituality and concepts like the law of attraction and manifestation will understand this well. When you are looking for something in your life, something that you want to attract, it's very important when you're communicating to the universe or whatever higher power you believe in, that you are very specific with what you're looking for so that you know where your mind and your frequency should be held in order to receive that. What do I mean by that in a practical sense as it relates to this, right? When you're thinking about your good husband that you want, I want you to actually sit down and either write it out in your notepads in an actual notepad, or on your phone in your notes, or on a computer in Microsoft Word, however you want to do it. I want you to write down a list of all of the criteria that you desire from a man. Now, here's where I'm going to be very specific with you so you're not confused. I don't want not a single note on your criteria to be anything physical, okay? I don't want you to put down, I want him to have a huge schlong, 9 inches. I don't want you to put down, I want him to be 6'3" like me. I don't want you to put down anything about his muscle, nothing in the physical realm, okay? Because the reality of it is none of that is actually going to serve you in terms of having a good relationship. That's just the reality. A man can be attractive and treat you like trash. He can also be ugly and treat you like trash. You're still going to be unhappy either way. What I want you to focus on is these three concepts here. His qualities, meaning his qualities in terms of an intangible sense, right, inside him. The treatment that he gives you, the way that he goes about you, the actions he'll take for you, and then overall his character, right? These three concepts are the three that I want you focused on in terms of creating your list. Why? Because these are going to be the most important elements of finding a good husband. Yes, of course, we want him to be physically attractive, but what I don't want is I don't want you to get so tied down in the physical aesthetic of the man that you consider a good husband that you miss out on men who actually fit this criteria. What do I mean by that? See, we are human beings and we are a bit flawed. So sometimes we allow our senses to take over our mind and not allow us to see things for what they are. Very easily, you might see someone that looks like they're a good person, looks like they're a good husband, but your mind is really tricking you because you find someone so physically attractive that you want to convince yourself that they're what you need because it fits a narrative that you want to believe in. So treatment could be, I want a man who is respectful not only when he's happy with me, but also when he's upset with me. So let's say you go out on a couple dates with a guy and you guys get into a little bit of a disagreement. And even when you guys get into a disagreement, he still holds the door open for you. He's still respectful to you. He doesn't call you outside of your name or anything like that, right? That could be an example of, okay, I want specific types of treatment from my man. Now, when I go on dates with men, if I don't see that from them, then it becomes very clear to me that he is not who I'm looking for. In the process of you finding a good husband, what we also want to do simultaneously is identify for you very quickly if you're spending time in places that are going to waste your time. Because finding a good husband is not just about dating 1,000 men. It's about understanding how to decipher the difference between the 999 horrible men and then the one good man who will actually end up being your husband. Number 3, setting. Now, we're going to do this by me asking you a question because I don't want it to be just me talking out of my butthole. I want you to be aware of what's going on in your life. Let me ask you a question. If I told you, pick places you can go to find low quality men, tell me in the chat, where would you go? Right? Someone said jail. All right, we're going to write down everything. I see jail, right? I see the club. I see the bar. Where else you guys got? The liquor store, okay? right? I see dating apps. All right. Wow, you guys are very, very, someone said the park. Okay, roadside. We can put that here, right? Roadside. Wow, you guys have a lot. Homeless shelter. Okay, damn. All right. The bus stop, the hood in a truck. And the reality of it is, you might not realize it because you never thought that deeply, but ask yourselves and see all of the comments here, right? Not just the ones I wrote down. See all of the comments in the comment section in the classroom and ask yourself, I see what a lot of people are saying here. Do I spend a lot of my time in any of these places that any of these people were bringing up a lot? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you also have an answer to your question of why you found it so difficult to find a good husband. Because setting and environment matters. That's the truth of the matter. If you're not in the right environment, it's going to become exponentially hard to find a good man. And it's not to say that going to any of these places are necessarily bad, but it's to understand that if you're spending exorbitant amounts of time in any of these places, which just means a lot of time in any of these places, you're going to end up suffering because you're going to find it a lot harder to find a good man. And it's not even to say that good men don't go out to clubs or bars or anything like that. I'm sure there's even some good men in jail somewhere, all right? But the reality of it is the percentage of good men and good quality husband material men you're going to find in any one of these places and the ones that you guys mentioned is going to be a lot lower. That's just the reality of environment and setting. They always say you're a compilation of the 4 people you hang out with the most and things like that. So finding a good husband is about understanding how to put yourself in the right environment. So then the question becomes, where do high quality men hang out? Now, again, I want you guys to answer this question for me, and I want to see how much you know and how much knowledge and understanding you have. Where do you think, if you were going to find high quality men, where would you go to find some high quality men? I want you all to answer, okay? I see some people said, right, church. I see some people said the gym. Where else you guys have here? Okay, someone said a coffee shop, the airport. Okay, a conference. I like that. I like that one. Ooh, health club. That's kind of like the gym, right? I like that. An art gallery, Costco. Okay, 5-star hotels. Ooh, a charity event. I like that. Oh, these guys are good. I want you to notice something, and I'm so glad you all participated because this is very important. See, the reality of it is you actually do have the answers within you. It just takes a little bit of thinking to really ask yourself, where would the right type of man actually be? And see, the funny thing about this is, even if you haven't been to some of the places that you guys have mentioned, the reality of it is you know the answer to your question. Meaning, when you think about finding a good partner, you know where you could go to find a good one. But the problem is these places are a lot more accessible and a lot easier to just say, I don't want to work too hard. I'm just going to go to one of these places instead. I don't want to leave my house or do too much planning, so I'll go to one of these places instead. But then you wonder why you're finding only low quality men. So vice versa, when it comes to the high quality men, notice that a lot of these things here have to do with some sort of learning, growing, or progressing in terms of your mindset, your physical state, right? Like by going to the gym, right? You're growing your body, right? Or investing in yourself in some sort of capacity, whether it be investing in your spirit, like going to church, whether it be investing in your health, like going to the gym, or whether it be investing in your mind, like going to a conference, a seminar, or even a museum or a charity. Investing, growing, progressing in some way, shape, or form. When you're thinking about how to find high quality men, that's all you have to be thinking about. How do I put myself in a setting where the people there are investing, growing, progressing in their understanding, in their spirit, in their mental state, in their health, in some way, shape, or form? Let me be honest with you. Of course, the same way you can find a good quality man in jail is the same way you can find a bad quality man at church. So it doesn't mean that you don't have to have discernment just because you meet a man in church or at a seminar. But it means that the likelihood that you'll find a good man, that you'll find a man who fits your criteria of the husband that you're seeking is a lot more likely if you can just focus on the environment that you spend your time in. Point number 4 is distractions. You're in the middle, obviously. Now, what I want you to know and understand about finding a good husband is throughout the process, you have to be aware this doesn't happen in an instant. There's a progression of growing within yourself, investing in yourself, and preparing yourself for the time you eventually meet that man. Along that path and that journey of your self growth and the time that you're going to eventually meet that guy, you're going to come across a lot of distractions, meaning a lot of low quality men. See, one of the things that low quality men love to do, especially when you're growing yourself and growing your dump truck, getting a nicer body, getting a sharper mind, investing in your spirit and all this other stuff. They love to steal your time. They are dying to take you back down a notch, especially when they notice that you're getting better, that you're growing. See, there's a certain magic, a je ne sais quoi, as the French say. There's a magic to you that is happening whenever you actually start really investing in yourself. When you start growing, when things start working out for you, you have this glow, okay? Has anyone ever told you, oh, you just got a glow going on? It's like that magic fairy dust that's following you around when you're really deep in your investing in yourself. Both women and men are attracted to that glow, that magic. They want a piece of that. It's like an addiction. They're like, oh my gosh, you got some of that magic? Rub yourself all over my body so I can get some of that magic that you have going on. And this is the thing. When you're on this pathway to preparing yourself, why did I put Tim instead of time? I'm tripping. I put it in both places. I'm too excited. Okay, one of the things that I want you to realize when you're growing and getting better because you're preparing yourself to find your amazing husband is along that journey, you will get a lot of distractions from low quality men who will be desperate to steal your time and steal your magic. Don't fall for it. The reason I'm saying don't fall for it is because if you're unaccustomed to a lot of attention from men all the time, and you begin making tweaks in your life to better yourself and invest in yourself, change your environment and things like that. Even when you finally do meet other men, or you're just walking around town going to the grocery store, understand you'll be carrying a lot of magic with you, okay? I'm not talking about what's behind you and in your jeans. I'm talking about like the magic of your aura. So even when low quality men might come across you at the grocery store or come across you at some event or some seminar or some conference, they might see you and say, oh, I want some of what she's got. She's a very attractive, magical woman. And I want you to be aware of the fact that when you're carrying this amount of magic around with you, right, this amount of aura and essence around with you, you will be very, very enticing to a lot of men. And at that time is when you have to be the most discerning in terms of saying, nope, I'm going to stay focused and keep myself prepared for the man that I actually want to ready myself for. Not these low quality men that I know can't do jack nothing for me. They'll also make it very easy to waste time and spend time with them if you're ever in a place where you're bored. So what do I mean by that? You might be in a place in your life where you're saying, yeah, Tomisin, I'm investing in myself and it's cool. I go to the gym, I go to church, I go to work, I go to these conferences and yeah, life's good. But I want a partner. Like I want someone I can spend time with. I want someone I can go to the movies with. I want someone I can go out to events with. I want someone I can bring to a wedding. And yeah, there's this guy, he's not really the type that I would want to be my husband, but he's someone that is around. He understands me enough and we have good laughs and good humor. So I feel like if I just am with him while I'm looking for a husband, or if I'm just continuing to do what I've been doing, but I just use him as someone that I spend a little bit of time with every now and again, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I get questions like that all the time. And my answer is always no. You will not waste time with a man who doesn't meet your criteria just because you have extra time, just because you haven't found the right guy yet. If you identify that a man in your life is not who you're looking for in terms of husband material, you do not waste any time with him. And I know it's easy to say, well, I don't even have a guy in my life, so I'll just spend time with this guy who's like 75% of what I'm looking for, but not really husband material. Do not do that. Why am I saying don't do that? Remember how I talked about at the beginning of the show when it comes to making sure that you are also the type of woman that the man that you're desiring so much that is a good husband to you, that would actually, he would want you as well and desire you as well? You want to make sure that you don't allow these distractions, one, to get you off track, but also to put you in a position where when you finally do come across that good husband, when you finally do come across that man that you've been looking and desiring for so long, that you don't have ties to all of these low quality men, that now you're scrambling and trying to figure out, oh, but I've been hanging out with this guy and I've got this guy texting me and this guy calling me and this guy, we're supposed to spend the night together the other day. And now I have to figure out how I'm going to tell him that I have a new thing, but I don't want to tell him that I have a new thing yet because I don't know if this one's going to work out. And you will put yourself in a very confused state as you're trying to juggle all of these low quality men who are trying to steal your time, and you finally found the guy that you actually want to be with. You'll realize that these men and your relationships with all these low quality men will sabotage your ability to be with that one man who is actually what you want. Point number 5 is about, I know I said spirit and then I drew money, but let me explain. Let's think of an analogy here so we can kind of understand how this works. See, what I want for you is when you finally are looking for that husband of yours, we want to make sure that you're actually ready to receive that. One of the things that can happen is you feel very undeserving of what you are preparing yourself for in the future. Let me explain this in an analogy, okay? See, let's just say for the sake of example, someone came up to you on the street and was like, hey, I want to give you $1 million. And you're like, wait, what? What do you mean you want to give me $1 million? For what? What did I do? You didn't do anything. You haven't been anywhere. You haven't hurt anyone. You haven't done anything amazing. I just want to give you $1 million for being yourself. And the first thing you might think is, well, what's the catch? But also, are you sure? Because I feel like if I'm going to receive $1 million from you, I should have to do something for that $1 million, right? And sometimes if I give you that $1 million right on the street, you might be like, well, thank you. I appreciate that. But you also might start to feel a little bit later like, I don't really deserve this. I didn't do anything for this money. And then when people ask you, hey, you got $1 million, how'd you do it? You say, honestly, I don't know. I really didn't do anything for it, right? And there's a little bit of a bittersweet taste to it because you don't even feel like you earned the $1 million. You just feel like it was kind of given to you for no reason. And now here you are with the $1 million. And see, this is kind of the same idea with a particular place your spirit will be in when you finally do meet the man that you're looking for that I want you to avoid. See, if you're not in a place where you actually feel deserving of having a good man, you might end up receiving $1 million and saying, well, I don't deserve this. This is not mine. I didn't do anything for this. I'm not the type of person who should be getting $1 million. Please just take the money back. I can't take this from you. And this is the thing. See, when you meet a good man and he actually treats you well and he actually does things for you and he's actually consistent with you and he actually is trustworthy, you might actually say to yourself, and I know some of you think it would never be me, but you might actually end up saying to yourself, I don't really deserve that. Like, you're so trustworthy. You treat me so well. I don't deserve to be like, who am I to get treated this well? And you might find yourself, it sounds very strange, you might find yourself rejecting the fact that this man treats you so well. Because you become so used to getting nothing from people, right? You've been so used to getting $0 from people that when someone just comes up to you and offers you $1 million for nothing, you're like, I can't take this. I can't allow myself to take it because I don't feel deserving of this. But here's the thing, and this is where I say you kind of have to realign yourself totally if you're looking for a good husband, right? Part of the reason that I also want you to invest in yourself and actually see and feel yourself growing is because the process of actually feeling like you're growing as an individual, that you're getting better, that when you look in the mirror, you see an attractive person. I also want that to affect your mind state by making you believe that you deserve a desirable partner yourself. Because the thing about it is, if you don't work on yourself and you receive that perfect husband, you'll actually start to feel a little bit guilty because you won't feel like you don't actually deserve that. But when you work on yourself, you start to feel like I've earned a good partner because I am a good partner, right? Because what we're also trying to do as we're trying to find you a good husband, we're trying to set you up in a position that when you actually meet him and grow a relationship with him, that the relationship works out. And I promise you, if you don't invest in yourself, you'll start to feel guilty when men treat you well. What we also have to do is heal traumas from your past so that we can properly make it so that when a guy does treat you well, you don't only feel like the only treatment you deserve from men is to be treated like trash. Point number 6 is about grieving. Now, what specifically are you grieving? I want you to grieve your past relationships and grieve your past situationships. But why do I say the term grieve them? Sometimes when you're going through life, as you're having relationships, breaking up with people, moving forward, you'll find yourself moving forward sometimes so fast and just doing life because you have work, you have school, you have responsibilities that you don't spend any time actually thinking about what you've been through. And the way that that manifests itself in terms of your romantic relationships, sometimes you don't ever grieve those relationships, meaning you don't ever actually take in, this is what happened, this is how it happened, this is why it happened, and this is what I took from it, and I'm learning from it in the future, and I'm accepting that it's over. You remember how I talked about low quality men will try and steal your time? The other thing that can become a distraction is having a lot of these old connections, old flings that are kind of still in your life, sort of, kind of. Maybe you hang out every once in a while, but not really dating, kind of, sort of. Maybe we are not really like a thing, sometimes hookup thing, not really all the time. This is the problem. When you don't properly grieve these relationships and lay them to rest, this is what your heart will look like, okay? I'm not an artist, but your heart will be full. Why do I say that your heart will be full? Because as these relationships or ex-flings have not been put to rest, you still have all of these lingering feelings and emotions taking up space in your heart, right? And as they're taking up space in your heart becomes more and more full and full and full. But the problem is when you finally meet the guy that you're looking for, right? The husband that you've been dreaming of for so long, there's no space for him to enter your heart when all of these feelings from other past flings and situations are taking up space. So what we need to do is we need to create a scenario in which your heart is open. And what does it mean to have an open heart, right? It means that you're capable of actually receiving love from a man, right? Because we want, when this husband comes into your life, right, we want him to be able to give you love. We want him to be able to love you and pour into you, but we also need to give him space in order to do that. And I know this sounds kind of like abstract here, but the thing is, the reality is, if your heart is full, and if you have all of these lingering situations, not only does it make it hard for you to connect with the man that you actually want to grow with, but you're also going to be repelling the man that you actually want to grow with, because when he tries to love you and you have all of this other stuff going on that hasn't been laid to rest, it will become so impossibly hard for him to love you. And then subsequently, he'll eventually become frustrated trying to give you his love and you not being able to receive that because your heart has no space in it. And eventually he's going to say to himself, I'm a great and desirable man. If you're not ready to receive my love in its totality, then I'm going to go give it to someone else. Point number 7 is about pressure. We do all this work to prepare you for the eventual time in which you'll meet your man. As you're doing this work, you can start to feel like the clock is ticking, especially if you're on the more mature side and you're really ready for a relationship. What I don't want though is I don't want you to create so much pressure for yourself about finding this guy that you end up having the opposite effect of being an attractive woman and you actually end up repelling a lot of men. The reason I drew this like this is because it's kind of like a visual of what will be happening. When you meet men, if you have an energy, and I know we talk about desperate energy in the sense of just wanting any man to love you, but if you have a desperation to you that like, I really need you to be the man that's my husband, you'll actually have the opposite effect of repelling men away because they'll feel that anxiety seeping through your pores. That's why I say it's sweating, not in an actual physical sense, but in an aura and an energetical sense, where they can feel your desperation to find a husband. And unfortunately, the reality of it is that desperation is very unattractive to people. So as we're investing in ourselves and you're growing and you're bettering yourself, understanding how to put yourself in a different environment, you also don't want to feel, and this is kind of like a thing that you have to be self-aware about. Don't allow yourself to feel like time is slipping away from you. Okay? Enjoy investing in yourself. Enjoy the journey of growing and getting better. Allow your small goals for yourself and the things that you want to do in your life and the things that you want to become. Allow that to consume your mind on a daily basis. And allow the idea that a man will eventually find you and be the guy that you're looking for to be a secondary thought of yours. Okay? I want you, and I know this sounds very strange because we're talking about how to find a good husband and I'm talking about you instead of talking about the guys. I want you to focus a majority of your daily energy on what goal do I want to achieve for myself today? Where do I want to go? How do I want to spend my time? How do I want to bring myself a little bit of happiness today by doing something for me? How do I reach one of my goals that I set for myself at the beginning of the year? Whether it be lose 1 pound, lose 10 pounds, lose 100 pounds, right? Get 1 inch off my waist, 2 inches off my waist, change my hair color, grow longer hair, have healthier hair, have healthier skin, whatever the case may be. Allow your goals on a daily basis for yourself, doesn't have to be large, doesn't have to be save the world, to consume you. Allow that to be the thing that you focus on tweaking and adjusting and growing and getting better at. And allow the men to come to you as they may, and allow the man who is going to be your husband to show you he's your husband by showing you how he fits all of your criteria.